think our first scrum meeting, once the committee had been established, we kind of went around the table and said who wants to be part of this group and this group.
SCRA had so much to focus on, the big committee, but resident support, we could try to identify the other needs.
You've got to be aware that it's not just dealing with people's physical needs, that those things are very high on the agenda early on in the piece, aren't they? But you've got to look after people's emotional well-being. That was the undercurrent, really, for us, wasn't it, as a team of people trying to offer things to the community and try and keep the community together.
We just tried to, gauge what was important to people.
There was the bereaved group, and then we were concerned about youth, weren't we? And then what were family needs and blokes. Yeah.
Some of the things that we would offer, to the community as a whole would be much more likely to be taken up by women. Men, particularly in the early days, were full of adrenaline, getting out there trying to fix things and often in isolation, and so we found it was probably easier to talk to a bloke by working alongside a bloke rather than trying to invite him around to a dinner or to something like that. And bearing in mind that almost all of the community wasn't here anymore, we were physically away from the area, living in temporary accommodation.
Coming back was a trauma, looking at what was here or what wasn't here, and they knew all these people, so to be separated from them was also a trauma for them.
Kate, our friend, she started a soup night. Anyone that was still in Strathewen could just come over and have a meal and catch up with people.
I remember Barb Gregory saying at one of the meetings, that you should have that down at the community centre. And I think Barb and Turid were great like that because they weren't actually in the fire-affected area. They were kind of thinking for us in a way, and they were encouraging us to do things that actually connected people up.
So we did quite a few things where no one turned up or one person turned up, but we just thought, no, even if one person turns up, it's still worth doing.
One of the things that I think that our community's done so well is having those weekly community dinners. They have created such a community cohesion, and then we started to realise that any time that there was a mass of people getting together, that you could see that it was beneficial.
And there was a few people wanted to belong to something, didn't they?
I think one of the greatest achievements that this group did was the first anniversary commemoration. We spent a lot of time talking and thinking and talking to other people individually and coming back to the group and sort of reporting on what sort of things we thought would be appropriate.
It is a solemn occasion and there needed to be some dignity about it. So we needed to put together a bit of a program that covered that.
Good morning. I would like to welcome everyone here to this special first anniversary commemoration of the terrible losses suffered in Strathewen and the surrounding district on February the 7th, 2009.
It was a way to say thanks to people who had helped. Also, one of the things that makes those commemoration days work is to keep the content really local.
Stone by stone.
Huge turnout of people on a day that was, really highly emotional.
I thought it was nice where you could go and you write your little prayer or your hope or your thought and put it into the cylinder, which is going to go into the memorial now. Early on, it was raw and the environment was bleak, wasn't it? And I think what we were trying to do is inject a little bit of normality sometimes, so to come together as a community, you could celebrate a birthday. You could put a couple of rabbit ears on and have Easter eggs, Make puddings at Christmas, celebrate Christmas. They're all sort of time markers and indicated a bit of let's get back to a bit of what we would do normally. The general essence was try and keep people together as much as you can, because when you're in those big activities and when you draw people together, you can see the benefit of it. People had shared experience. It was a terrible experience, but they can talk in a safe kind of environment because they know the people they're talking to understand. And the more you tell your story, the more, you listen to other people's, the more you can kind of find some context and some perspective.
Our community has healed together and grown stronger as a result of bringing people together.
You have to look at people's needs, and you've got to keep re-looking at them along the way because their needs change. And I think the other thing was that you need to be communicating all the time. We found out it needed to be short and to the point.
Being as far-reaching as possible and diverse in the different things you're trying to offer people. We learnt that some people wanted to be together as part of a community, whereas other people just needed time on their own.
Mainly be inclusive of everybody and show friendship and caring for people and honesty.
Where the boom's coming down. Yeah. Big boom, my God. You've got big knockers you can't do.
A friendship has formed through this, all these people in the room now and committee members, and for me, being involved in Strathewen's recovery has been fantastic for my own recovery. It's given me access to a whole community that probably would have taken me the rest of my life to infiltrate.
Like any of the others, I didn't really know people before the fire.
Diana's a strong person, and I never feel really comfortable if I'm upset and feel like crying or screaming. I don't like to do it in front of her.
But it's interesting that Mary should say I'm a strong person, because I see Mary as a strong person, actually.
I know I come over like, the dragon lady, but I'm not really.
Oh,
But,
you've
I
got the
really-
qualities of endurance and resilience, really.
But, all that being said, I do admire you very much, and I'm so happy we are friends.
Yeah, that's one of the real positives that's come out of all of this.
Dinner's ready!